Last week on the Dirt of Eldora, Bradley Holly steamed away to the win, gapping his nearest championship competitor by half a lap and extending his lead over Daniel Knight, who did not start in the points. This week, we head back to the pavement to tackle the D-shaped Michigan. Will Bradley continue his domination? Will Daniel Knight rebound for a win? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by ButtKicker. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and joining me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Our director tonight will be Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Michigan is one of the longest non-superspeedway ovals on the calendar, and to find out what makes this newly repaved giant a challenge, let's take you down to our track guide.
Welcome to the Michigan International Speedway. This 2-mile D-shaped oval located in the beautiful Irish Hills of southern Michigan, sitting about an hour and a half's drive to the southwest of Detroit along I-94, right in the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford. When you're that close to Detroit Power, your speedway better live up to the hype. 18-degree banked corners with a 12-degree banked front stretch allow for maximum power and lots of action. The higher downforce Indy cars were able to put on spectacular shows of driver bravery and talent. In recent years, it's played host to mostly the tin top cars, as the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Gander Truck, and even ARCA Series have all hosted events here in the last decade. Michigan is a wide, sweeping oval, but it isn't harmless. The lowest groove of the corners near the bottom can be your very best friend in the IndyCar, but your worst enemy in the tin tops. Cars will frequently get loose that far down the track, causing chaos for the pack behind. Michigan is all about speed and lots of it. Often the drivers that find the most success here are the ones willing to experiment around the track and find grip their competitors haven't. The facility in recent years has doubled down on fan comfort as well, giving more elbow room, redoing seats, camping areas, even providing Wi-Fi to watch all of these live broadcasts in the grandstands of all the sections. All in all, Michigan has become a staple of American motorsports since it opened in 1968. Fans and drivers both always look forward to when the schedules come back to the beautiful Irish Hills of southern Michigan. Fast speeds, high action, it's all here at Michigan International Speedway, where it's your speed.
We saw a couple laps around Michigan, and here to talk about why these drivers might be struggling a little bit tonight, Chris Phoebe.
Well, Michigan is a big 2-mile oval, as we've discussed a little bit already. It's going to race, at least in the opening laps, a lot like a super speedway. These guys will be wide open, and we'll see the draft come into play as well. Been noticing in practice the setup's a little bit, kind of split as far as the reaction goes to the drivers. Some of them are handling this one a little bit more loose in the corners. Some are dealing with a little bit of understeer. So we're going to see maybe a couple different split strategies as far as handling the track goes. And then, of course, the way those trucks are handling is also going to affect tires, which will play a big role in the strategy later on as well.
It definitely will, and one of the things that plays a role in all the strategy that we do here on iRacing is your hearing, and that's why we want to talk about our series sponsor, which is WEBB Hearing Centers. They're family-owned and operated since 1972, and they offer top-quality hearing aids and service in Arizona. Visit them at webbhearingcenters.com. That's with 2 B's, as you see on the screen, webbhearingcenters.com. And Chris, you have a league sponsor for us to talk about as well.
That's right, our league sponsor, the ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Visit thebuttkicker.com today to view their full line of products.
And now to update you on the Points Championship, things are getting a little bit wider of a gap here at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Bradley Holly currently holds the lead over Daniel Knight, who was not able to start the feature race last week at Eldora. They're about 25 points over Thomas Sink, who's down there in the 3rd position, who has about 5 points over Jared Mogard there in 4th. So it's actually quite tight between Thomas Sink, Jared Mogard, and even Brendan Chatley starting to come into the picture down in that 5th position in the Drivers' Championship. And Chris, you've got the teams for us.
That's right. As far as the teams championship goes, the Jelly Rolls Racing Squad still pretty solidly out in front, but that battle for second is really heating up with the Riding Shotgun Rangers tied with the Back Row Racing Squad. And then in what would be fourth place, the Car Ramrod team, hanging back there a little bit themselves. And then a little bit back in the fifth spot is the Rescue Racing Camo Rescue Squad, hanging on to that top 5 position.
Yeah, very tight there for that second position. It's going to be awesome to see who breaks the tie here at Michigan. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time or just need a little bit of a refresher, race details coming up for you. This is round 8 of 10 here at the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. And they've got the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoor Series trucks that they're racing around here. All 3 of the models. The Ford was added just recently in the last major build. We have 55 laps around this place, or 1 hour, whichever comes first. They only have 4 total sets of tires. That's 3 spare sets in the pits. And they only have 24 incidents to play with. And they have no spare truck to play with, which means they have to be very careful about any damage they get because they'll be carrying that for the rest of the race. They're racing on a fixed setup tonight, and Chris was talking about that a little bit earlier on in our track description. And let's actually talk a little bit more about that, Chris. These drivers seem to be quite edgy in these trucks tonight.
Yeah, one thing you can really take away watching practice here is nobody looks particularly comfortable. You have some drivers that seem to be skating around a little bit, and some just can't seem to get that corner entry to turn. So it looks like everyone is equally uncomfortable, just in slightly different ways.
Yeah, and this place is actually a very, very fast track, as you said, going 180 to 185 miles an hour by the time they hit the turns, especially when they're in the draft. And Chris, how important is that draft going to be today?
Well, the engine configuration on these trucks really makes them momentum-based in general, as far as them racing on the track goes. And at a track like Michigan, where they spend so much on throttle time, the momentum is going to be paramount. I mean, if you have to get off the gas or even slam on the brakes for an incident, you're going to probably spend the next couple laps just recovering, let alone going back on the offensive.
So very close in the practice times. We actually have less than a second covering the entire field from first all the way down to 28th. Paul Johnson has yet to set a representative time. So all these drivers very tight on their times, but it's going to be fascinating, their best times. It's going to be fascinating to see who's going to be able to turn out the best time in qualifying, which will be coming up here in about 3 minutes. Now, something we should update you on, due to causing 2 cautions within 3 races, both Mike Richter and Mark Kalin will not be allowed to qualify and must start from the rear. They're getting an EOL penalty, and that is due to incidents. Mike Richter was incidents caused prior to the Eldora round, and Mark Kalin was incidents caused during the Eldora round. And that just goes back to the caution points on the license that we have talked about over the course of this season. If you're found at fault for causing a caution, you'll be given caution points, and if you're found at fault for 2 cautions within 3 races, you will be given an end of the line penalty. If you're 4 cautions rather in 3 races, then you're out. They do not tolerate people who cause a lot of cautions around here, and ever since implementing that, we've gotten a lot of clean racing here at the PRL.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, Adam. I think adding some actual consequences to maybe causing the cautions makes these guys think twice before they stick their nose where it may not quite work out.
Yeah, one of the benefits and also one of the detractors of sim racing is that you don't have to pay for your damage when you wreck a truck. So these drivers definitely are feeling the effects of those cautions for sure. But up at the top of the board right now, we got Thomas Sink currently leading practice, with Bradley Hawley only about 4 100ths behind, with Brandon Walter only 7 100ths behind our current leader of practice as well. So these drivers degrees Celsius in this practice session. It'll be fascinating to see how different that is going into qualifying. And there we see that graphic up there right now, Chris, and not much wind.
It's a pretty standard day here in Wolverine State as far as the wind goes. But one thing I've noticed is the cloud cover has really been coming and going. Right now the track is pretty dark in parts, and it is a very long 2-mile track, so sometimes the clouds can cover part of the track and not the other. So timing that out is going to be a big deal.
So as practice wraps up here, these drivers are going to be coming out onto qualifying, and they're going to be very much gauging that 5-minute qualifying to see when they can get their best laps in. So practice ending now. Thomas Sink led practice with Bradley Holly, Brandon Walter, Charles Sumner, and Blaine Adams in the top 5 of the practice sessions. Now to see who has the best 1-lap pace as we start qualifying. So a couple of drivers just starting to load into the session now, and it looks like John LaBaff will be one of our first to go out, as well as Blaine Adams, who decides to have actually parked it a little bit there. We're taking a look at the 911 truck going onto the track. That is John LaBaff. He's going to be our first one out there to try and get a practice time in. The track temperature has gone up 1 degree, up to 115, and there's pretty open sun right now on the track as these drivers get out there. John LaBaff just heading down the back straight now, and these drivers don't have that much time to get their qualifying times in. While the normal lap around here is around 40 seconds, getting on and off pit road can take over a minute.
That's right. Those in and out laps can be crucial here when you're trying to time your lap perfectly, just because of the huge distance of this track. 2 miles is quite a haul. So the out lap is going to be important to timing when you get your lap in.
John LaBaff coming around there. Looks like he got a little bit loose on entry, which meant that he couldn't quite make it down to that apex there. And believe it or not, ever since I started racing this track, you seem to notice that bottom lane seems to have a little bit of a different banking down there. And it may not be in the stats, but definitely feels like it as a driver. So as he goes into 3 and 4, ducking down to that yellow line, trying to tuck it in there, you can see him running right there on that little bit of marked in pavement. So as he exits the corner, a pretty decent lap, but watch for them to build up speed for their second laps around here as well.
You'd almost think the drivers would want to run a little bit higher up on the track during their out laps, maybe get the momentum built up a little quicker. But you see another thing about this track, you're seeing all sorts of different interpretations. Some are taking a really deep arc into the corner. Some are making a late apex, and it's really interesting to see which results are going to turn out best.
Thomas Sink goes to the 4 with a 39.968, the current provisional pole time. John LaBaff, who we were watching, only good enough for 11th on his first lap. Stacy Hunter starting his first lap, or finishing his first lap rather. Unfortunately, only good enough for 13th position. John LaBaff comes across again, and that was actually slower that second lap. So John LaBaff not off to a great start right now. Doyle Lawrence doing a decent job at the moment for Doyle, actually good enough for 8th position at the moment. Nicholas Hunter has yet to set a time, crosses the line, and going to start his first time lap.
Notice the times here in qualifying are significantly slower than what we saw in practice. That's because these are single truck runs, so these guys do not have the benefit of the draft to speed up their laps.
And Stacy Hunter crossing the line for his second time lap. It is slower, so the first laps are definitely faster, so that's going to be taken into consideration as they start coming around. Bradley Holly literally just exited pit lane. Colton Lane abandoning that lap. Going to come back onto pit road, practice a pit road entry. Brendan Chatley coming out of the corner, looking on for a decent lap. A nice low exit off of 3 and 4, but did that scrub off any speed? No, it is faster, a 40.051. That's good enough for the 5th position.
Yeah, we should be seeing those laps coming in hot and heavy here soon, as Thomas Sink still sits on top of the charts with a 39.96.
Darren Hilton crossing the line, slower second lap for him as well. Now we've got Charles Sumner crossing the line, a 40.5. That's the slowest time on the board so far, unfortunately. And Bradley Holly now coming through 3 and 4 as Aaron Webb crosses the line to start his first time lap. Bradley Holly, here's our current points leader, and he tends to be pretty good at qualifying, seeing that those first laps are faster. He goes that right down to the apron, a 30.986, only good enough for 3rd position, but that's first on the inside in the second row. So a pretty good starting position for him if he can hold it. That was Tristan Callahan crossing the line in getting 6th position. Paul Johnson starting his first time lap. He will only have enough time to get one in.
Yeah, that's one of those problems with waiting till the last second is sometimes you run out of time.
Richter with a 40 flat .002. That's going to be good enough for 6. That's how tight everything is. But here is Bradley Holly coming out of the final corner one more time. Can he make it faster? He doesn't really feel like it. You can see him wobbling around a little bit, and it is slower, so third's going to be the best he's going to be able to do. And I believe Nicholas Hunter abandoned his lap, so at this point, we've only got one driver to come back across the line, and that's Paul Johnson. And it's a slower time, so unfortunately he will not improve. Here comes Christopher B. Williams, 8 seconds to the line. He'll be able to make it. Christopher B. Williams crosses the line, also slower on his second lap, so the second laps were not proving to pay dividends this time around, but that will take us to the grid, and Thomas Sink is going to start us off on the pole position with Doug Evans. A fantastic qualifying for Doug, starting off in the second position. Bradley Holly is going to line up behind Thomas Sink, with Nicholas Schwartz lining up behind Doug Evans. Daniel Knight is going to line up right in behind his championship rival Bradley Holly, with Mike Richter lining up in 6th position. Tristan Callahan and Aaron Webb will share row 4, and the top 10 are rounded up by Brett Adams and Blaine Adams.
Just outside of the top 10 is Brandon Walters, starting 11th, with Doyle Lawrence to his outside. Charles Sumner and Brendan Chatley will make up the next row, with Paul D. Johnson and Adam Young composing 15th and 16th respectively. 17th on the grid will be Colton Lane, followed by Adam Zemke, and then Austin Hunter and Jose Medina completing your top 20.
21st will be John LaBaff with Christopher B. Williams in 22nd place down on row 11. That's row 12 is going to be Adam Shane and Stacy Hunter. And then Baron Hilton and Nicholas Hunter, as well as Matthew Aubrey and William Lee, round out your qualifiers today out of the 28 trucks that qualified. Then we have Mark Kalin and J.R. Bash, who had penalties and were not allowed to qualify. They round out your 30 truck field. Well, Chris, Michigan can tend to be a little bit of a train, but with some of the things we've been seeing in practice, that might not be the case today.
Yeah, these guys were 3 and 4 wide throughout the practice session, and they were all racing pretty well together. Hopefully it can carry over to the race. Michigan is a track that kind of has a bit of a negative reputation as far as the excitement levels it can bring, known as a quote-unquote fuel mileage track. But I think from what we saw in practice and the way these drivers are handling the fixed setup that iRacing has given us, I really think that we could be pleasantly surprised by our race today.
The drivers in their trucks are all fanned out there on the grid, as the Mustang pace car will lead them to the line. Starting off now, Thomas Sink pulls off, and we'll see them all ripple off down the line there as they start getting going. And man, it's so awesome to see these trucks just pulling off a line like that. And Thomas Sink is in a really good position to make up some points today.
Yeah, Daniel Knight had some issues in the last race, so he is definitely going to need a good performance today to keep his championship hopes alive.
So as we watch them coming around, we do want to mention that if you would like to sponsor a race or a series here on GSRC, we have advertising options available. The channel boasts over 1 million global monthly impressions, and the branding opportunities include official series sponsorships, ad reads, race awards, and more. Follow the link in the description of our YouTube channel for more. It's been awesome to see sponsors like the ButtKicker really start to give series like these a nice boost as we watch as they're all going to line up double file getting ready for this race. 30 cars, so it's an even field all the way back to our 30th starter, which is going to be J.R. Bash today. And as they come through, As they come through 3 and 4, Thomas Sink getting ready for them to run here, and they're going to be getting ready to go. The Mustang pace car is going to pull off a little early here. That'll release Thomas Sink. He can go at any point. They do not wait for green in this series. Thomas Sink getting ready to launch, and he's going to wait. He's going to wait. He might even wait for the green. Let's see how long he waits. The green flag is out, and he actually does not get the greatest start. Doug Evans, a decent start on the top side, but that's Thomas Sink getting pushed very hard by Bradley Holly on the low side. Daniel Knight there on the bottom side as well, tucked in behind them. And it looks like Doug Evans is going to get caught out on the high side, but Bradley Holly pokes his nose out, got a little bit loose into the 1 and 2. Now we got Daniel Knight on the low side trying to power out of the corner.
Yeah, the push was really the difference maker on that first initial start, with Thomas Sink having a bumper full of Bradley Holly to give him a shove down the road. down the start really made a difference, and he's able to take the lead.
Daniel Knight there on the bottom side trying to make that work. Thomas Sink getting loose off of the corner. A little bit of contact between Thomas and Bradley. That gets Thomas a little bit upset there. Bradley Holly can't quite make the run, though. Daniel Knight's going to tuck in behind Thomas Sink to get a little bit of draft here as they go back into 1 and 2. And this is looking a lot like super speedway racing here, Chris.
Yeah, we predicted it would be a little hairy like this in the first couple laps.
Ooh, Tristan Callahan gets loose and goes up the hill a little bit there. That was Brett Adams trying to tuck in underneath him. And now we have the 51 of Mike Richter trying to go look down there 3 wide.
And a move like that isn't just going to cost Callahan here in the short run. He's going to spend the next couple laps trying to get back up to speed, as you have the 23 of Brett Adams sticking his nose up in that now top 4 battle. Daniel Knight goes to the back bumper of Bradley Holly to get him pushed down the straightaway. New leader at the line. Bradley Holly takes command of this race.
Now we've got 2 different lines running three rows deep here, as Bradley Holly is now up to the 4. He can definitely use to make some moves and blocking, but how long do you think before tire wear starts to really affect these guys, Chris?
Well, it depends on how many of those bold moves they're making across the track like that. The more they're moving around, the more likely they are to scrub the good off the tires.
Brett Adams giving a nice push to Thomas Sink as they go into 3 and 4, but can Thomas keep it on the bottom side and keep the momentum going? The answer is sort of, because Bradley Holly gets a nice pull off the line and will lead another lap. Here comes Daniel Knight looking to the inside. Bradley a little bit unstable on that high line, blocks off Daniel, and Daniel backs off as they go into 1 and 2 once again. Thomas Sink trying to make it work down there on the bottom side with Brett Adams as his helper.
So we're riding along here with Daniel Knight, as you can see what he can't. One aspect of this drafting that we're seeing is sometimes the follower cannot see what's up ahead of them, so they're just blindly pushing Bradley Holly along the track now. They lose contact, and that allows the 48 of Thomas Sink to pull back to the inside.
Bradley definitely the one who's saving his tires at this point. He's able to run whatever line he wants at the moment, so he can pick and choose how that truck is going to enter and exit the corner. Look at that, Daniel Knight taking a peek towards that middle line, but Bradley doing a good job just holding it. Daniel Knight drifting a little bit high through 1 and 2, and man, it just looks like these drivers are either just kind of sitting around or trying to figure out how controllable this truck is. But we have all the drivers tucked in under a second, all the way back to Colton Lane in 14th position.
Well, we saw that in qualifying and practice. This field is very tight today. Probably also a byproduct of the type of racing we have, but these guys are very quick, as Daniel Knight makes it 3 wide for the top spot as we head off towards turn 1. He's going to ride the momentum. It looks like he's going to have Thomas Sink clear, and as he pulls to the bottom of the track to take the lead.
Fantastic move from Daniel Knight, but can he keep the momentum down there? The truck getting a little bit loose down there on the low side. Bradley Holly with some great momentum. Let's see whether Thomas Sink decides to stay in line with Daniel Knight. He does. He's going to get a little bit of a shove from Brett Adams as well. They're very compressed on the low side as they go into 3 and 4 here. And right behind them, you see Doug Evans in the middle lane. He can't keep it down on the track there. That's the 85 of Aaron Webb trying to look underneath him. And Nicholas Schwartz moves himself up to 7th place. But look at that. Daniel Knight up to the lead of this race. Bradley Holly still a little unstable on that high side. But Daniel Knight will lead a lap here at Michigan.
And the record books will officially show him leading, but Thomas Sink now inching ahead as they go off towards turn number 1. Sink is going to have about half a truck advantage on the inside line, as Daniel Knight has lost his friends. He is left out to hang. Bradley Holly now comes and joins them, but now we have the 51 of Mike Richter looking to the bottom of the track.
Mike Richter looking for a little bit of fresh air and a little bit of vision up towards what's going on at the front of the pack, but it looks like these trucks are starting to get a lot looser into these corners. You can see Daniel Knight getting a little bit loose. He got a little bit of pressure from Bradley Holly, almost goes up into the wall. He holds on to it, but now it's 3 wide for the second position, more or less, as Bradley Holly trying to make that middle line work. Daniel Knight hung out to dry on the high side.
And this is going to cost him probably at least 3 more positions as he works on getting himself lined back up. Looks like Tristan Callahan may relent and leave a hole there for Daniel to pull down into, as Thomas Sink once again out in front. Here comes the 23 of Brett Adams lurking in that 3rd position to give a push to the 48.
I'm not sure whether these trucks are fun to drive, but they sure look unstable in a straight line. The speed that these trucks are carrying into the corners means that they had to set up a lot of rake and a lot of camber into these machines to try and get them to go well through the corners, which means that they're really hard to keep pointed straight in the straightaways. But here we go with Bradley Holly leading yet another lap over Thomas Sink, who just cannot get that bottom side wound up. As as they go into 1 and 2. He's going to get a nice push from Brett Adams up there on the bottom side, but he just can't get it to work there. But man, it is tight racing all the way through the field. 3 wide back there for 9th position.
Yeah, we get a little further back in the field. You can see them fanned out as they head down the back straightaway. It's a beautiful sight to see that many trucks racing that close together.
So many trucks under one little blanket there, and that it's still under a second back to Charles Sumner now, who's in the 14th position. So this all 14 trucks under 1 second has lasted all 9 laps of this race that we've completed so far. Impressive stuff. But look at that, Thomas Sink with a nice push from Brett Adams gets up to the front of the field, and if he can clear Bradley Hawley on the exit of 1 and 2, he's actually going to drift up a little bit early. He thinks the high line was better. He's going to drift a little early. Bradley Hawley's going to have to tuck in behind him as they exit 1 and 2, and there goes Mike Richter down to the bottom side once again. Is he trying to make a move? Yes, he is. He's trying to get there to the bottom of the 23.
But unfortunately, he's got not very much help behind him, so he's going to fall back in line behind the 23 of Adams, as now Thomas Sink opens up what's probably the biggest lead of the race we've seen so far, maybe about 2 truck lengths ahead of the 184 of Bradley Hawley and Brett Adams there in that light blue truck on the inside.
These trucks have now lost about a second off of their fastest laps of the race. They were running 39.7, high 39.7s when they were running early on in the race, and now they're up to 40.7. So these trucks getting very loose off the corner. We almost saw Daniel Knight hit the outside wall there as they come down the back stretch. We're taking a look there at the 23 of Brett Adams and Thomas Sink leading this race. Bradley Hawley tucking right behind him. Brett doing a good job defending his position there on the bottom side, while those drivers who doesn't spend a lot of time in the top 5 is doing a great job holding on to it today.
Yeah, Brett Adams has done a tremendous job managing the draft here at MIS. And as such, he is seeing it pay off, running up in the top 5, as now he has a challenge in the 51 of Mike Richter for that 3rd position, with Daniel Knight lurking back there as well.
We're on board with Brett Adams as he's there on the bottom side. The 51's all right to his outside right now. Daniel Knight looking like he might have an opportunity to go 3 wide. Oh, and there's a wreck in the middle field. That looks like, I'm going to keep track of it, I believe that is Nicholas Schwartz who went around. It is Nicholas Schwartz of the 44 truck. Caution is out on track, and we're going to take a look at this one. It was exiting 1 and 2, and it was just a little drift up from the 33 truck of Blaine Adams. We're going to see on the screen now. You'll see him just appear there out of the track, and yeah, the 44 just ending up spun around there. That was the 33 who ended up drifting up just a little bit into him. We're going to see it right here.
Yeah, unfortunately, a byproduct of this type of racing, Adam.
Yep, just tight racing. A lot of drivers looking in a lot of different places. Some drivers looking more in their mirror than out their windshield. You end up coming together a little bit. But Nicholas Schwartz has significant left side damage on that machine. And at such an aero-dependent track as this one, I expect that's going to really hamper him.
Yeah, the way these trucks go through the air is essential at this track, and you add some damage to the bodywork, and it's like throwing a parachute on the back of your truck. It's going to slow you down quite a bit.
All right, Chris, we are not yet a 4th of the way through this race. Let's see whether these drivers decide to come in and take their first replacement set of tires. Remember, they only have 4 sets of tires total for this race, so if they put on this set, they will only have 2 more that they can take, and they're all coming in.
Yeah, it looks like we only had 1 driver go past pit road.
Yeah, and that was Adam Zemke, who ended up going past. We'll see whether or not he pits next lap. He was towards the back of the field. But here we go. Thomas Sink tucking in that 48 machine. Got that beautiful green sign that he's waiting for. And as they go, he's definitely taking 4 tires for himself. Let's see whether anyone else just takes 2. Oh, wow, Tom, look at that. Bradley Hawley with yet another win off of pit road with a pit stop. Wow, that man just seems to have the best pit crew in NASCAR.
Yeah, he is hands down probably head and shoulders above everybody else on pit entrance and exit. He just does a great job of nailing it, getting off pit road, and for yet another race, he takes the lead off of pit road.
And Chris, you are not wrong. Bradley Holly with the fastest time on and off pit road, 38.4 seconds, and a 14.1 second stop makes his pit stop also the fastest on pit road. So not only is he good on and off pit road, but his pit crew gave him a nice boost today as well.
I'm not sure who he hired, but they deserve a raise.
Well, can he tell us where we can get those guys? All right, so Adam Zemke currently out front. I believe he is coming into pit this time. Yes, he is. So that is going to give us Bradley Holly leading the race with Thomas Sink in third. Thomas Sink in second. Mike Richter will start off in third with Brett Adams starting off fourth. Daniel Knight will start off in the fifth position. Tristan Callahan in sixth. Paul Johnson in seventh. Aaron Webb eighth. Colton Lane will start off ninth, and 10th will be Blaine Adams. Well, Chris, we've seen a lot of intensity out there, but it was very measured intensity. Would you expect the same on this restart?
Maybe for a second, but I think the closer we get to the end of this race, the more the intensity is going to turn up, and it's going to happen quicker on these restarts as well.
So lights are out on the Mustang pace car. Bradley Holly leading the line with Thomas Sink on his outside. Thomas did not like being on the inside. You could see it when he got back out to the lead there. So this actually might benefit him if he can get a good jump. But I highly doubt we're going to see a restart like we saw last time that waited so long. Bradley Holly is known for jumping early once the pace car goes off. So Thomas Sink's going to have to beat him off the line. So 2 miles around this track under caution is quite a long time, Chris.
Yeah, it's got to feel like forever sitting in those seats, just waiting for the trucks to come around to take the restart. It just takes forever on a track this big.
All right, so as they go through 3 and 4, the Mustang pace car will pull off quite quickly as they exit 4. It's off now. Bradley Holly controls the field, and he can go whenever he would like. He's going to wait a bit longer. Still waiting is Bradley Holly. He's going to wait till that green flag drops, I believe. Just about. Thomas Sink gets an excellent start on that high side. Brett Adams, not so much. Neither did Daniel Knight either, so quite a few drivers caught out by that one, but those two WEBB racing machines side by side as they go through 1 and 2.
Yeah, in addition to being great at pit stops, Bradley Holly also pretty good on those restarts, as we see here. The rest of the field left kind of scrambling there as Thomas Sink falls in line behind him. Here comes Mike Richter in the 51, maybe looking to give a challenge.
Brett Adams was dropped towards the back of the pack as Daniel Knight is the only truck now down there on the bottom side. Tristan Callahan to his high side. They're all battling for the 4th position. Wow, those trucks look a little loose on those fresh tires, but they're going significantly faster now.
Yeah, it's amazing what a new pair of shoes will do to your lap times.
So here we go with Thomas Sink now tucked in behind Bradley Holly. That was Mike Richter who just slotted up there ahead of Tristan Callahan, but Daniel Knight on the low side just powering through the corner, trying to get as much traction as he can, using those new tires to good effect, but can't quite keep the momentum going. Brett Adams is pushing him on the bottom side. That's Colton Lane you see in the blue, white, and red machine as he's trying to make up positions. He's currently down still in the 10th position as it's still side by side for 4th position with Daniel Knight with great traction through 3 and 4. He's going to be able to pull a little bit of a gap over Tristan Callahan and possibly move up into that high side. Yes, he does. Oh, yeah. Tristan trying to make the move work there and trying to go underneath Daniel Knight. He actually pushes Brett Adams out a little bit.
Well, it looks like Adams didn't take it too personally as he's now running behind Callahan to try to give him a push.
Come off the corner. It's very loose, sketchy moments for Tristan Callahan. We're on board the nose of Brett Adams as he's trying to push Tristan Callahan to some success there. Wow, those pushes really destabilize the cars. We saw one with Daniel Knight up ahead. You're going to see how wide they are, and we have another caution. That's JR Bash in the back of the field, the number 28 truck. Mowing the grass, it looks like. This was started off of 1 and 2. This was contact between the 109 Rescue Racing Machine and JR Bash in the 28. We're going to take a look at this from the helicopter. There you see it. Just a little bit of instability that we were talking about on the straightaways, and J.R. Bash goes flying through the grass.
Yeah, he even caught a little air as he hit the transition from the pavement to the grass.
Oy, yeah, that's never a feeling you want to feel as a driver when that rear end comes out from under you. And there's that airtime you were talking about. Ooh.
So if anybody asks if he ever took his truck off any sweet jumps, he can say that he has.
Well, as they get back under caution here, the drivers have only run about 2 laps on their tires, so I wouldn't expect them to come back in for fresh tires this time around. So at this point, there are a couple drivers who are ducking into the pits, or at least one is. That is going to be Matthew Aubrey. Then we have the damless truck of Nicholas Schwartz is going to keep working on his truck. So a couple of drivers decide to take it, but most of the people are staying out.
Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe some of the drivers towards the middle or back of the field maybe hit pit road and get a little bit of extra splash of gas in there in case this thing plays out in that direction.
That is one thing we didn't talk about in our race details. These trucks are running 100% fuel, but the race length necessitates that they take at least one pit stop for fuel. So it might be too early in the time of the race to get that fuel in, but I would think with 20 laps, like you said, Chris, that they would be good to go if they came in at least now to get some fuel.
I'm always the guy that fills up his gas tank when he's at like a quarter tank. I never let it get to E, so if I were these truck drivers, I'd probably be one of the ones to hit pit road and at least top it off, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Well, Chris, with all the jostling and banging we saw on track there, Bradley Hawley still is going to lead them to the restart with Thomas Sink outside of him. Mike Richter lining up in 3rd, Tristan Callahan in 4th, and Daniel Knight once again in 5th position. So really not much has changed since our last restart.
No, I think these guys require a couple more laps to get the things wound up before they can really start racing each other like we were seeing in that first green flag run. And yeah, a lot of the same up front right now.
Bradley Hawley doing a nice job just taking the crew around the track there. But Thomas Sink, he's had some good runs of consistency here in the PRL Truck Series, and right now up there in the 2nd position, I'm sure he would love to get another win.
Yeah, that's why we all do this, is the thrill of victory and beating your competition. And Bradley Hawley's been on a hot streak, so maybe we're due for somebody to play spoiler.
As the Mustang pace car turns off its lights and we get back to double file, you expecting more of the same this restart, Chris?
I'm thinking that we'll probably see pretty much what we saw in the last restart. These guys jockeying for position a little bit, and then hopefully we get some more laps in so we can see these guys really go back to work.
So as they get ready to get going, we're going to be halfway in about 7 laps for these drivers. Bradley Hawley will lead them to the line with Thomas Sink in 2nd, Tristan Callahan 3rd, Mike Richter 4th, Daniel Knight 5th, Brett Adams 6th, Aaron Webb starting off in 7th with Lane Adams, Paul Johnson, and Colton Lane rounding out your top 10. And when these guys go back for the restart, we are going to give it a little bit of a crank it up here for these drivers. We're going to turn it up to 11 up here on GSRC and let you hear the sounds and roars of racing. Daniel Knight down to the low side, 3 wide for the lead as he passes Mike Richter and Bradley Holly, and he's going to get the job done, squeezing out Bradley there on the high side. Can't quite get it done, and it's almost 4 wide in the back of the pack as well. Complete insanity here on this restart, Chris.
We had a near miss there with Mike Richter coming up and almost getting into the door of the 48 of Thomas Sink. Sink had to take evasive action, and he has hemorrhaged a bunch of spots. But nonetheless, Daniel Knight is up front, and Richter is looking for somewhere to go. A couple new faces up front we have here, Aaron Webb and Colton Lane up in that mix as well, running 4th and 5th respectively.
Awesome to see so many drivers with a shot at it this time, but one of the drivers who's dropping back is Thomas Sink. He's all the way back down into the 12th position. Cannot get that truck working for him, but there we go. There's that coming off the corner. You can see just how many trucks we have under a blanket right now. It's only down to 12th underneath 1 second right now, but Daniel Knight will not let Bradley Holly go for the lead of this race. He puts his foot into it as he goes through 3 and 4 and gets an excellent exit off. He's going to lead this race one more time around.
Well, Colton Lane is in a lane by himself right now as the field behind him has to catch up to give him any kind of boost. But that top groove.
Oh, turn around! That is a truck around in front of the field, and it's going to be a big one behind him. That's the 14 truck of Paul Johnson. Everyone manages to avoid him, but that could have been really bad. Take a look at this from the high side, from the blimp here, and we're going to take a look at this one as they go down the front straightaway. Paul Johnson ends up drifting down to try and get a better setup for one. Here he goes, and he ends up coming off the nose, and actually Thomas Sink gets into him there. That's major points implications for a 3rd place points contender.
Yeah, that's going to be a real tough one for Thomas Sink.
Coming off the nose of Doyle Lawrence, who's just trying to run his line and maintain position. We're going to go on board with Thomas Sink, and he sees the smoke, nowhere to go, just ends up collecting himself into that wreck. Hopefully there's not too much front end damage, but on a speed track like this, any sort of RPM loss is going to be major, major problems for him. And you can see that front clip damaged.
Yeah, Doyle Lawrence, unfortunately, didn't really do anything wrong there. He got a good run into the corner and was trying to make the move, and I don't think the 14 truck had been quite aware of how much of a move he had made on him in the corner.
As the trucks come around, they have run a couple more laps on green flag running. They are just about halfway. If they're going to be average on your tires, you'd probably come in this time. Let's see whether or not anybody takes it. Daniel Knight's thinking about it, so is Bradley Holly, and Daniel Knight stays out. Bradley's going to come in. He's going to take most of the rest of the field with him. That's Doyle Lawrence who stays out, and everybody else coming to pit road.
Well, this could have some major implications in how this race plays out, as Daniel Knight, kind of the lone one left on the track.
A couple of other drivers decided to stay out, Adam Young being one of them, as well as Jose Medina and Stacy Hunter. And they are going to be the only ones who stay out on track, so only 5 trucks stay out on track. So Bradley Holly into the pits, getting his 4 tires and fuel done. He's going to pull out, and he's going to beat Thomas Sink out of the pits, or Colton Lane, rather, out of the pits. So Bradley will start off this next restart in 6th position. So as these drivers get ready to go on their restart, we're going to take a very short break here on the GSRC, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back for the restart and give you some more of this awesome action on Michigan track. interesting strategy plays as we had 4 trucks who stayed out. Daniel Knight, Adam Young, Jose Medina, and Stacy Hunter. Bradley Holly will be the first truck who starts with fresh tires. Daniel Knight will lead them to the green right now. He's going to wait and wait. He's waiting a long time. He's going to wait until that Geico restart zone. He still hasn't launched, and now he gets going. Adam Young with a good start on the high side, but how long will these trucks on older tires last? We have Bradley Holly, third truck on the inside. And look at that, Daniel Knight already out to the lead of this race. He's going to dive it down into 1 and 2 and just sail away from the field.
I have to say, I appreciate the gutsy call by some of these drivers to stay out and run contrary to what the rest of the field is doing. There is no victory without sacrifice. These guys are definitely going to be the guinea pigs here, as we have them 3 wide now for the 3rd position. Colton Lane shoves it up the middle, and he'll now be to the outside of Jose Medina for the runner-up position.
Jose Medina now there on the bottom side with some significant rear end damage. And look at Colton Lane. That run is going to take him all the way to the lead as he goes through into 1 and 2. Let's see whether or not he can close the deal. Looks like Daniel Knight's going to try and get in behind him, but now they have trouble. That's Bradley Holly now there in the 3rd position. You see him, that black hood, right in the middle of our screens right there is Daniel Knight up on the high side, trying to get some speed down, but Bradley Holly, the first truck on those new tires. And now we've got a lot of trucks on new tires. And we have another caution. That's Adam Shane around in the middle of the backfield. That's the 83 truck. Looks like this one was a little different than our last couple of cautions. This actually started with the 62 truck and then ended up being a very interesting domino effect. You saw it from the front end angle. We're going to give you a better angle here. There's the 62 truck getting sent off the nose. And you see the 83 getting up into the 38, and then the 83 gets bounced back off the corner. So this one's going up for a while. Ooh, that's a hard hit.
I got to say, Mark Kalin should have wrecked like 4 times there and somehow managed to not ever completely go around.
So what is this going to do, Chris, for those drivers who have not yet taken that second set of tires? As we go on board with Mark Kalin to see how he hung on to this thing.
Yeah, you see him get loose there, then the blue truck comes and straightens him out. He gets another bounce off the door there, nearly hits the truck to his inside, and comes out just fine.
So it'll be interesting to see. Daniel Knight is staying out, so our first driver who did not take that last pit stop stays out, and so does everybody, well, almost everybody else. I mean, those drivers who are involved in the wreck are going to come into the pits, but the pit strategy is going to be to try and maintain, and the longer these cautions go on, the more benefit that has for these drivers on the older tires.
Exactly, not to mention the tires are cooling off, and there's less laps left to have to run on those tires. So, and not to mention, you don't have to stretch the fuel out as far under caution as you do under green flag racing. So a lot of things working to the benefit of the drivers that decided to stay out.
So as we're under another caution, we're going to head to another short break here, but we'll be back to get you onto the green flag as we get back here in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Don't go anywhere. Michigan International Speedway, and Colton Lane is going to lead them to the restart with Daniel Knight on his outside. Bradley Holly will wind up tucked in behind Colton Lane with Mike Richter behind Daniel Knight. Adam Young will round out your top 5 with Stacy Hunter, Aaron Webb, Tristan Callahan, Christopher B. Williams, Charles Sumner, and Blaine Adams, rounding out your top 11, because I read one name too many here. And as we get ready to go, the Mustang pace car pulls off, and Colton Lane is in control of the field. He has a little bit of front end damage. Let's see whether or not that's going to affect him if we get into a longer run here. But Colton Lane waiting until that Geico restart zone. He gets a little bit past it and then launches much like everyone else has today. He gets a better launch than the 17, and Bradley Holly giving him a nice shove. That's Mike Richter who's going to duck down to the bottom side and try and leave the 17 of Daniel Knight out to dry.
Yeah, Mike Richter abandoned ship on that outside line pretty quick. Now Daniel Knight, the one left, hung out to dry, but Bradley Holly, as great as he's done in the lead, he's got to be probably the best pusher out on the track right now.
It is 3 trucks who took tires versus Daniel Knight, the one truck who has yet to take tires, up there in that top 5. Daniel Knight battling for the 3rd position with Mike Richter, who's there on the low side. Whoa, that's Colton Lane getting a little bit loose off the nose of Bradley Holly as they exit 3 and 4. Bradley's going to tuck in back in behind him and keep trying to push him out to a further lead.
Yeah, Holly just glued to the tailgate on the 60 machine, shoving him down that straightaway. As you have the 51 of Mike Richter with some help from the 85 of Aaron Webb now working past the 17 of Daniel Knight.
51's got some serious momentum. He's going to look to the bottom side of Bradley Holly here. Now these trucks all the way up to their top speeds. They're going to keep going here as they get going through 3 and 4. Look at that. Daniel Knight just falling off in that high line. Just cannot get anything going with those older tires. Bradley Holly is still tucked in right in behind Colton Lane. Then we have Mike Richter and Aaron Webb now up to the 4th position. Move Daniel Knight back to 5th.
Yeah, Knight was finally able to tuck in behind the 85. Of course, as we say that, he goes looking to the outside again, trying to pass the 85 machine now back to the bottom. But nonetheless, still the 184 Bradley Holly seemed to be biding his time in that runner-up position right now, Adam. Do you think maybe that's the smarter move to hang out there in the draft?
I think it's definitely one of the options. I mean, he's saving fuel that way. If he's worried about fuel consumption, then that might be something. But remember, he just took tires and fuel, so I would expect him to be fine on the fuel game. We're on board with Mike Richter right now as he's looking at the rear bumper of Bradley Holly. I mean, if you were Mike Richter, you wouldn't know that there was a driver up ahead of him.
Yeah, that's another challenge that these trucks have, is the spoilers are high enough that once you get tucked up behind somebody, you can't really see what's up ahead. And definitely makes for a little bit of danger, as Richter now having to fight off a challenge from the 85 of Aaron Webb.
And we have some traffic there on the bottom side. That's Adam Zemke, who's going to stay below that yellow line. He's got a little bit of right front suspension damage, which is why he's off pace. But as we take a look at that top 5, Daniel Knight just keeps falling off of the back of these guys. Though that one tire stop not paying dividends. The next driver who has yet to stop a second time is Adam Young, and he's fallen all the way back to 13th after hitting the outside wall.
You have now some breathing room that we're seeing for the 60 of Colton Lane. Looks like the 184 of Bradley Holly backing it up a little bit, gets another run as they get about halfway down the straightaway. And looks like the top 5 or 6 trucks there are just kind of hanging out right now, pretty much in line.
Colton Lane went in a little bit early into 3 and 4, which means he walked up the track a little bit through the corner. That's loosed his momentum a little bit, but he's catching some draft from Brandon Walter up ahead of him. Wow, look at this, on board with Bradley Holly as he's giving a shove to Colton Lane as they go into 1 and 2, trying to get him out of line, out of sequence. Can't quite do it though. Colton managing that tire wear pretty well. As they go down the backstretch, it's pretty much single file all the way back. Well, actually, we have Tristan Callahan trying to make a move to the inside of Daniel Knight. Callahan's going to get the job done. Daniel Knight just cannot run on the high side on those tires right now. He's starting to get freight trained up there. And we might have a pass for the lead here as Bradley Holly getting very wobbly in behind Colton Lane. Had to duck out for a moment, but he stays right in line and continues to push.
Yeah, once again, looks like these guys are finally settling down towards the later part of this race after maybe a tongue lashing from our race director when we were under a break there. Maybe as these drivers finally in line and calm down a little bit so we can get some good green flag laps in.
Yeah, but as these tires start to wear on these machines, it's going to be harder and harder to keep these things in a straight line. We're noticing that Aaron Webb's having a little bit of connection issues, so hopefully he's able to stay in the session. But look at that, Bradley Holly still tucked up right behind Colton Lane. I mean, how long can he do that before his engine overheats?
You got to be thinking with how close he's been behind him that truck might be starting to get a little warm. You can see him ducking down a little bit. That truck's having a few gulps through the clean air. But he goes right back up, tucks right back in behind the 60.
You can see Mike Richter poking his nose out in that white and blue machine tucked in behind Bradley Holly. And look at that. They're actually, Colton Lane looks like he's trying to shake Bradley just a little bit. He likes that early entry into 3 and 4 and gives him a nice speed on exit. But Bradley is just staying tucked in behind him. This is going to be a little bit demoralizing for Colton though, because he knows that at any point Bradley could just pull out and pass him.
I think that's part of the game with Bradley Holly, though. He's got a pretty strong reputation in this series, as has been demonstrated. And I think part of it is he carries that reputation with him, and he can just kind of hang back, and just knowing he's there can sometimes trick these guys into making a mistake.
We have a nice little mob set up right in behind Daniel Knight in 6th position. Daniel's old tires not really playing much favor for him as he's trying to hold off the likes of Blaine Adams, Doug Evans, and Charles Sumner, who are all on fresher tires. And that was Doug Evans up into the outside wall there off of 4. So he's made some contact, and that makes Charles Sumner go down low. He's going to tuck right in behind them, but they're all trying to make their way by. And a pass for second possibly going on right now. Mike Richter to the low side of Bradley Holly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was part of... Ooh, they make contact. Richter into the wall. He's going to back up Holly. Colton Lane may have...
And they're wrecking behind him as well. That was Christopher B. Williams who went off. Let's see how this sorts out, because this is going to be fascinating to see whether Tristan Callahan made it all the way up into 2nd position before the yellow flag came out. So we're going to keep our eyes out and see how they sort this out. Christopher B. Williams, though, in the 09 truck is the cause of this caution. He actually was one of the drivers who got a little bit neutral coming through 3 and 4 and clouded the outside wall, much like we saw the 41 of Doug Evans do as well. So here he is crossing the start-finish line. He'll go through 3 and 4, and you'll see that truck just 4-wheel slide straight up into the outside wall too. Whammo, and he hits that outside wall and immediately loses control of the truck. He tries to keep it off of the inside wall but can't quite do it. All right, Chris, after that many laps, do you think it's time for another pit stop for a 3rd set of tires here? We're into the closing. We're going to be restarting with less than 10 to go.
I mean, you have the tires there. You might as well use them, right?
And this must be a big relief for Daniel Knight, who's dropped all the way back down to 6th after restarting from 3rd place on that last restart. So they are all going to come down, led by Colton Lane. Now, here's the thing. Bradley Holly has beaten his last 5 or 6 competitors on pit stops alone. So can he do it to Colton as well? Let's find out.
Yeah, it looks like Colton Lane didn't get the cleanest entry into his pit stall either. So he's going to maybe be fighting it a little bit to get out and may lose some time there as well. He's kind of cockeyed there in the pit stall.
Bradley Holly with significant front end damage. Will he take any time to repair the damage here in the pit lane? That's the 33 truck of Blaine Adams who got a 1 tire stop and he's pulling out. And Colton Lane is also going to beat out Bradley Holly. And Bradley ends up with a slower time, unfortunately. But Blaine Adams, a 2 tire stop. Interesting strategy play.
Well, we saw no tires didn't work out that well, so if there was any time to try 2, I guess it would be now. Blaine Adams bringing himself into the conversation for the first time in this race, so an interesting move. I'm excited to see how it works.
Now, we do need to take a look at the front clip of Bradley Holly because that truck is not looking happy with the amount of front end damage it has. Now, if he can keep tucked in behind a driver like Colton Lane, like he did last time, he might be able to negate some of that, but Bradley Holly's front clip is just not looking very happy at the moment.
Yeah, you can see all kinds of damage on that one. He and the 51 of Mike Richter were tangling as that last caution was kind of unfolding. So that's it's going to be a handicap for Bradley Holly for sure.
Well, if you want to know who the cleanest truck is in the top 10, that is going to be Tristan Callahan, believe it or not. Tristan, known for his aggressiveness, not disrespectfully so, but known for his aggressive passing on track. He's got quite a clean truck in that 77. And he's up there in the 4th position as the lights go off on the Mustang pace car. He's got to be licking his chops here because all the drivers up ahead of him, especially those on 4 tires, seem to have some sort of front-end damage.
Yeah, Callahan's been really fast all race too. He hasn't been up there leading laps like some of these other competitors, but he's been very fast, and I wouldn't be all that surprised to see him peak at the right time and maybe snatch a win away today.
Blaine Adams also has a clean truck, but he's got those 2 tires to deal with, and as far as I can tell, nobody up until this pit stop went for 2 tires. Other 2 tire takers are Brett Adams and Brendan Chatley in 5th and 6th. The rest of the field took 4 tires. So Blaine Adams will lead them to the line on those 2 tires with Colton Lane on his outside. Bradley Holly starting off in 3rd with Tristan Callahan in 4th. Brett Adams will start off 5th with Brendan Chatley 6th. Aaron Webb 7th. Charles Sumner 8th. Daniel Knight all the way back to 9th after that pit stop cycle. And John LaBaff will start off your top 10. Blaine Adams leading them to the line. The Mustang pace car going through 3 and 4. It will be very fascinating to see how this plays out with the amount of good trucks that have damage at this point. Mustang pace car pulls off and Blaine Adams has control of the field. My guess is that he will wait till the end of that Geico restart zone to get going. So he waits. We go through to that Geico restart zone, and he immediately launches, catching Colton Lane by surprise. But Bradley Holly has absolutely no power in that machine. He's going to have to duck down to the inside and let everyone else go. The front end just dealing too much damage. He's way off power. This might give an opportunity for Daniel Knight, who's already gone by him, to pick up some much-needed points. The points gap at this point is 8 points, but here goes Colton Lane on Blaine Adams. Those 2 tires not working for him.
Yeah, Blaine Adams just not getting the run there that Colton Lane does as Tristan Callahan goes with Lane. Now he'll give him a shove into turns 3 and 4, and looks like Colton Lane will have the advantage as he heads down the front straightaway.
And you saw it there 3 wide in the back of your screens. That was Daniel Knight moving up to the 4th position, and he's got some serious momentum as they come up towards the line. Daniel Knight knows that this is his best opportunity to regain that points championship, the points championship lead over the dominant Bradley Holly. Bradley Holly winning the last 3 championships here in the PRL Truck Series, but now it's a tight battle for the lead, and here comes Daniel Knight.
Daniel Knight's racing like he's got a couple extra gears in that truck. He is just absolutely flying, gets past the 77 of Callahan. He's now to the inside of Colton Lane. A little bit of a side draft off the quarter panel there. And don't look now, but the 98 of Charles Sumner sticking his nose in the battle as well, as Colton Lane continues to lead with Callahan glued to his tailgate, giving him the momentum. But Daniel Knight is just flying in that number 17.
Bradley Holly joins his Waterback teammate Thomas Sink in the 24th and 25th positions respectively. But look at this, Colton Lane with some good momentum there on the high side, and he and Daniel Knight getting freight train once again. He's got to be asking himself what he has to do to get somebody to work with him here. But here comes Colton Lane dropping down below side to get a better corner. What can Daniel Knight do? Can he clear Tristan Callahan and get up to that high side? He's almost clear. He thinks about moving up there. Tristan has to back out of it.
Yeah, that's about as close as you're going to get without wrecking there. As Daniel Knight goes in line behind the 60 of Colton Lane, gets just a sniff of a draft, and then dives to the bottom of the track. He's going to try to complete the pass here. He is going to slide up in front of the 60 of Colton Lane, so give the top spot to Daniel Knight. Lane now with the crossover. He'll be to the inside as we head down the back straightaway. Colton Lane on the bottom. Daniel Knight now on the top. A bit of a switch of roles there, as Colton Lane hanging on to the lead with Daniel Knight trying to get the lead back on that outside groove.
Charles Sumner looking for another top five. Tristan Callahan looking for possibly his first win of the season. Daniel Knight trying to regain the points championship. Colton Lane with his best opportunity to win this season as well. Here we go. Their top five now are joined by Blaine Adams and the 911 of John LeBaff, who've joined this battle. We have 5 to go this time by as they come out of 1 and 2.
Adam, it is a dead heat for that top spot as they came off of turn 2. A little bit of that momentum allowing the 17 to pull almost ahead, but not quite enough now as Colton Lane, once again, the shorter distance around the track on that bottom groove. He will have the advantage again as they come off of turn 4 and almost able to clear the 17. Not going to happen that time.
These trucks starting to get a little bit neutral through the corners. They're going to run the risk of having the same problem. And now we got Tristan Callahan down to the low side, 3 wide for the lead as they go into 1 and 2. They have the lap truck of Mike Richter to deal with. The 77 can't hold the bottom side. He slides up ahead of Charles Sumner, who has to back out of it as well. It's still a dead heat for the lead as they exit 1 and 2. Colton Lane with a little bit of a nose, but Daniel Knight with the momentum.
And now the gap has opened up a little bit. It's going to be who gets help first now, I think, right now, Adam. The 17 of Knight on the outside. Colton Lane, once again, running the shorter distance on the bottom. He has the advantage as they come off of turn 4.
And right behind them is this massive herd of cars that are all battling for the top 10 positions as they all catching up to the top 2. Daniel Knight and Colton Lane as they try and battle for the win of this race. Charles Sumner looking very loose on entry of the corner on the high side. In second in line, he's going to try and hold it on there. Tristan Callahan looking good on that bottom side in that multicolored blue and green machine. Wow, it's very tight racing up here for the lead of this group. Daniel Knight still holding at the edge over Colton Lane, just a little bit on that high side, but he's using up a lot of tires to do it.
Well, the rest of the field was beginning to close back in. Daniel Knight way up the track now. He's going to give up a whole bunch of room. He'll fall in line now between Sumner and Lane as the 77 of Callahan on the bottom of the track trying to make up some positions.
And the tires starting to give way for all of these cars to see whether or not the people on the low side can gain the momentum once again. But Colton Lane doing an excellent job going through the corners. Look at that. Daniel Knight just cannot get that thing to turn. He's very neutral coming off the corner. He's able to hang on to it, but everyone looking a little bit tight, snapped loose off the corner.
Yeah, you can see that 17 truck looks significantly less comfortable than it did just a couple laps before, as now he has his hands full with the 77 of Tristan Callahan for the runner-up position, and Colton Lane runs out to probably the biggest lead he's had all day.
Daniel might be backing it off a little bit here. He looked a little bit more calm and collected through 3 and 4 that time by, but he's got Charles Sumner tucked in behind him.
Knight with a run now. He'll go to the bottom of the track.
Daniel Knight to the bottom of the track. This is the white flag lap this time. Colton Lane dives it in deep, but is it too deep? He's throwing up the track. He's washing up the track. He almost hits the outside wall. It's going to be 3 wide, 4 wide for the lead. They all wreck. Daniel Knight's around. The 77 around. Who's going to win this race? I have no idea. I think the 911 made it through. John LeBaff is going to streak away through 3 and 4, pretty much free and clear. Adam Young there in the second position is possibly going to hold on to that one as well, but John LeBaff will come around to take the win after the leaders wreck off of 1 and 2. What a finish. John LeBaff takes the win here at Michigan. Adam Young coming home in second. Brendan Shatley will come home in third. Where in the world did our points championship contenders finish? Daniel Knight just crossed the line in 13th position. Oh man, it's going to take some time to sort this one out. Let's start the replay with the leader, Daniel Knight, as he got tipped with some action that happened exiting 1 and 2. This was some complete insanity. There it is coming off of the corner, and you can see the 98 gets a little bit loose there off of the corner. I believe this was the lap previous. So we'll watch them as they come around, because how this setup was very fascinating here. We're going to watch as they get going. Once again, Daniel Knight gets that excellent run like you talked about, Chris.
Yeah, Daniel Knight always had a really good run off of the corners on the outside with the momentum. You'll see he gets the run, actually tries the inside. He slides up the track, but is able to pull ahead there and loses a bit of room on corner entry, and that opens up a gap for the 98 of Charles Sumner to think about it. And Sumner and Sumner and Lane make contact. Lane goes around, collects the 17 and the 77. The 41 Dukes of Hazards his way through that one.
The 911, I mean, unbelievably makes it through that completely clean. That was insane. If we could go on board with him, that was some impressive moves.
Yeah, watch him through this. It is insane what what the 911 truck is able to do.
Oh my goodness. The C's just part for him. I mean, that usually does not happen in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. John LeBav, watching the track clean itself ahead of him, comes home with the win tonight. Unbelievable stuff.
In all my years at the racetrack, I don't think I have ever seen anything like that before.
Well, we're going to take a break and try and collect our thoughts and figure out who finished where here, but don't go anywhere because we will have those unofficial results for you, as well as hopefully an interview with our winner, John LeBav, shortly after this break. Do not go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back to the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored this week by WEBB Hearing Centers, and what an amazing finish we had today. Complete chaos at the end, ended up with John LeBav taking home the win after the C's part. He takes it over Adam Young, who comes home in second place. Brendan Shatley making it through the chaos comes home in third as well, with Nicholas Hunter coming home in fourth. Matthew Aubrey gets his first top 5 of the season, with Stacy Hunter in sixth. Christopher B. Williams comes home in seventh. Colton Lane, after that chaos, limps home in eighth position, with Doyle Lawrence in ninth and Aaron Webb in 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 was Blaine Adams coming home in 11th, with J.R. Bash to his outside after a caution. Daniel Knight hangs on to finish 13th after that last lap chaos, with Tristan Callahan right behind him. Let's see. Doug Evans was next after General Lean his way through that caution, with William Lee in 16th. Nicholas Schwartz was 17th, with Mark Kalin, Thomas Sink, and Bradley Holly completing the top 20.
21st is going to go to Brett Adams, with Jose Medina in 22nd place. And Jose Medina was your last driver on the lead lap. The rest of the drivers had problems. Charles Sumner, Baron Hilton, Austin Hunter, Mike Richter, Brandon Walter, Adam Zemke, Adam Shane, and Paul D. Johnson, unfortunately. So we are here talking to our winner, John LeBav. John, I can't believe you made it through that. What are your emotions right now?
Kind of a roller coaster. I didn't know which way to go, so I just picked the middle and stayed in the throttle, I guess.
Coming to the white flag lap, did you have any thought that you would be in a position to win it coming into 3 and 4?
No clue at all. I didn't think I was even going to be close because I got up towards the wall. A lot of cars bouncing around, moving around, and didn't really have a good line to pick, and I actually got up into the wall, I think, in turn 2, which kind of killed my momentum, and then that happened.
Well, it looks like that killed momentum is exactly what you needed to navigate through that wreck. But talk to us about the rest of the race. This seemed to be an interesting one, especially with tire strategy. It seemed like lots of people were choosing some different strategies, but you were one of the drivers who ended up taking 3 stops.
Yeah, I tried to space them out equally. I just wanted to keep tires on because my truck handled pretty good. I could put it just about anywhere I wanted to. Some of the guys on that final pit stop only took 2, and it really made their vehicles loose. So I was trying to avoid them and just keep moving forward.
Well, John, I mean, what a fantastic win today. Is there anybody you want to thank for your win?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for doing a great broadcast. PRL for the league, ATC, Roman Delight, Inline 309, American Breadcrumb Company, Rescue Racing, Philly Paws, and Camo Animal Rescue.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us, John, and great win today. I mean, glad you could take that one, and we hope to see you again up here on the top of the podium soon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
That was John LaBaff, our winner, and Chris Foby has caught up with Adam Young.
Adam, what happened on that last lap? Tell us about your ride.
I'll tell you, hitting a wall coming out of 2 was probably the best thing that ever happened to John LaBaff up there. So good job to him. Congratulations on the win. Really torn for Daniel. And staying out there when we did, we were kind of worried if that was actually going to work out. And ultimately it did. He was able to get back up there. And, I've got to take some heat too for Doyle's pit stop mistake also. So I'll apologize to him because we were wanting to get his damage fixed. Didn't realize with quickie cautions, but the last lap there coming off 2, it's like John LaBaff hit the wall and I immediately pulled in behind Doug. And the next thing I know, everybody's wrecking in front of me. And I thought I had a hole because I knew if I was to jump on the brakes, I'm going to get caught up in this. So I tried to go for the hole, then the hole closed up. So it's one of those things.
Well, still a second place was definitely not a bad finish. You were one of the drivers that stayed out on that second caution there, and looked like it may have kind of hung you out to dry there for a little bit. Did you think at any point this second place finish was a possibility?
I did actually. I've had a lot of momentum coming off 2. I was really trying to manage my tires for the last 2 laps. I knew I couldn't get the win, but I was hoping for a top 5. And then once you're in a top 5 in a place like this, anything can happen. So it was just trying to, stick with my guns, lay in the bed I made and try to go for it.
All right, Adam, anyone you want to thank to help make today possible for you?
I already apologized to Doyle for making the call for him to come down pit road. Thanks to all the riding shotgun guys as well. Adam Shane, man, the guy has some of the worst luck here, but one of these days his luck's going to turn around. So I got to thank him for trying to stick through it, and of course the PRL guys and you guys too.
All right, thanks, Adam. That's our second place finisher today, Adam Young, and I believe Adam is catching up with Brendan Chatley now, our third place finisher.
Yeah, Brendan, you started the last lap in the 9th position and ended up coming home 3rd. Talk me through exit of 1 and 2 to the end of the race.
I heard I saw them wrecking in front of me, and then I was in Discord with John LaBaff, who's part of the Rescue Racing team, and he said, "I'm about to win," so I was just trying to get through there as cleanly as possible, and somehow was able to. I think I almost had to go down to the grass there to enter turn 3, but somehow I was able to.
Yeah, and Brendan, talk me through the rest of the race. It seemed like those trucks were pretty unstable on the straights and a little neutral through the corners. We heard a lot of guys hitting the outside wall, especially at the end of the second to last green flag run.
So my race I was trying to save tires, hoping we'd have long runs. I feel like that's where I excel the most. But we kept on getting cautions every 10 laps or so. So that really threw my strategy out the window there. And got a little bit of damage at either I don't think it was aero, because even in the draft I wasn't able to keep up with everybody, so I think I had a little engine damage hitting the outside wall, avoiding one of the wrecks. So I knew a 2-tire stop there on the last caution was going to be my best bet to try and keep my top 10 streak alive. And that's actually just what I was hoping for on the last lap there, but somehow I ended up with a top 3.
Well, Brendan, a great top 3 for you. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank all the guys at Rescue Racing. We keep on raising money for our animal shelters, Philly Paws and Camo Rescue in Houston. I want to thank the guys at WEBB, ETC, Roman Delight, and Inline 309. And for you guys, for the broadcast that you guys put on, and PRL as well.
All right, Brendan, great top 3 finish, and we hope to see you up here on the podium again soon.
Thank you.
That was Brendan Chatley, our 3rd place finisher, and that is going to close us out today. A fantastic race. But before we go, we want to mention that GSRC has advertising options available for you. This channel boasts over 1 million global monthly impressions. And we have branding opportunities, which include official series sponsorships like this one, ad reads, race awards, and more. Follow the link in the YouTube description to learn more. Now, we want to give a big thank you to the Precision Racing League for bringing us on for another season, and a big thank you to this race's sponsor, which is going to be WEBB Hearing Centers. You can visit them at webbhearingcenters.com. That's web with 2 B's, webbhearingcenters.com. And we also want to thank ButtKicker for giving us a great sponsor for this entire season for the PRL League. We want to give a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast, which are listed here on your screen. And as always, many thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our bumpin' music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to today's crew, Sean, Chris, and Dougie. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can go check out our merchandise store. That's at gsrc.storenvy.com. The link is in the description below. And if you want to see more racing action, hit that big red subscribe button as well so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Now, if you thought that was exciting tonight, next week is going to be Watkins Glen. That's right, we're going to the Glen, August 12th, 8:50 p.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it. We also have upcoming races for other series that are listed here on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. We hope you've enjoyed joining us tonight as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back on our channel soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.